Hello everybody and welcome back to Let's Play Wonder Boy 3 Monster Lair. In the last video we finished up the first 4 levels and defeated the first 2 bosses, and in this video we're going to continue on, hopefully without too many deaths. Right here I like to wait here because 4 mice, pink mice, come running up that slope, and if you're on the slope when they come running up there, it's really hard to get an angle where you can shoot them, and I've died quite a few times doing something like that. I don't think I mentioned this in the last video, but you can force scroll the screen by running to the right, and if you're running fast enough, it will start scrolling. It helps you get through the levels quicker, but it can also be a detriment because you don't have any idea what's coming. So unless you've memorized the game and you know exactly what's coming and when it's coming, I don't suggest it. This weapon here is basically like a series of blades or fans or something like that that swirl around you and form a kind of defense. They don't block projectiles or anything like that, so it's not as useful as it sounds. Right there you want to take the bottom path to avoid the first 3 boulders, and then switch up to the top path so that you can avoid the boulder on the bottom, unless you have a weapon that can destroy the boulder fast enough. And then in that last part there, I didn't talk quick enough to say while it was on the screen, but when that giant boulder rolls down, if you're too far to the right, when you jump over it, the moles will actually attack you, making it almost impossible to make it across because you'll have the boulder and no gap between the boulder and the moles. And so when you land, you're going to be hitting one or the other, and you die after that happens. There, you want to take the bottom path because it's much easier to traverse in my eyes. I guess you don't necessarily have to, but that's the one I find easier. If you can make that jump there, you get some extra food to increase your life. Here we have some rather easy. These snakes are easy to deal with. These bats, as you probably saw there, they don't actually spawn on the screen right away. So if you're auto-scrolling the screen, there's a chance you could be standing in a bunch of bats and they just haven't spawned yet. So when they start to spawn, they will kill you. It doesn't grant you immunity or anything like that, which is unfortunate, but what are you gonna do? That's why after the first 2 levels or so, I like to kind of just sit back and let the level scroll for me, or else I end up with a bunch of deaths that I could have easily avoided. Here we have more of the fruit that you can grow larger and explode to get a bunch of extra. We didn't do too bad in that level. We got through relatively quickly, and we had full health going into this level, which is never a bad thing. I find these a lot easier than the side-scrolling parts. At least most of them are a lot easier. But especially if you have this weapon, in my eyes, this weapon just absolutely destroys everything. I think I've discussed every single weapon in here and what it does. Maybe I didn't. Did I? I don't know if I talked about the rockets or not. But anyway, I'll just in case, the rockets, they shoot. You can shoot normally by holding the button, but if you mash it, I find it much more effective. It cuts your range a lot, but it allows you to just shoot massively and do a lot of damage in a short amount of time. I don't really like any weapon except for the regular gun for bosses. I don't know why. I feel like I might do more damage with this. The bat here, you want to attack his head. Any other part of his body doesn't do any damage to him. And every little bit he'll send out these guys. Just avoid them. They're relatively easy. With bosses, I like to kind of just mash with the default weapon. If you're standing right next to him, the bullets will hit him quick enough so that it doesn't take the limit of the amount of bullets that can be on the screen at once into account. So it's a lot of damage in a very short amount of time. I don't think I even mentioned the limit on bullets, but I believe there can only be 3 or 4 or 5 bullets on the screen at one time. And after you exceed that limit, like if I mash right here, you see how the bullets' ranges are very low? That's because the bullets keep getting erased from the screen because there's not enough memory in the game, or at least I guess that's why. Those elephants, if you don't take care of them quickly, can become deadly because they shoot something out of their trunks. And it goes really fast, and unless you know it's coming, it's very hard to avoid. Oh, my favorite weapon right now. I really do love that spread shot. I don't know why. I just think it's the most useful weapon. There we go again. The ring shot, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if any of these weapons have official names. I kind of just call them whatever I want. Like this is, I call the beam shot, and this is the laser shot, and this is, I don't know, I call it the fan of blades. But again, I don't know if they have official names. There's not a lot of information on the internet about this game. or any in the series for that matter, or at least I couldn't find a lot of information. If somebody out there has more information than I do, feel free to let me know, because I'd love to know more about these games. Alright, another thing is, stay up top here if you can, especially if you have a good weapon like this. It'll be easy to stay up here, because after you get past all these side platforms moving side to side right here, you get a bunch of bonus fruit. I don't know why he didn't die. I was pumping him full of my bullets. I was about to say, if you don't attack really fast when you land, though, you will end up eating that elephant's bullet for breakfast. Like I did, because apparently I didn't attack fast enough. Oh, there's the ledge hanging there. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was real quick. Right there, that platform will drop into the pit and kill you if you stay on it for too long. So you have to just jump onto it and then jump off immediately. Hopefully without jumping onto any of the guys that are waiting to attack you when you land. Another thing about this game, the side-scrolling, from what I was reading a lot of information on the game before I decided to play it, and apparently this game was re-released under the title Adventure Island on non-Sega platforms. I forget the company that took the game to re-release it, but yeah, they took the game and re-released it on non-Sega platforms under the title Adventure Island. So if you've ever played the Adventure Island games, you might notice a resemblance, and that's because it is that game, just under a different title, which I thought was pretty cool, because Adventure Island's probably a lot more well-known than this game is. Here we have our first multi-part boss. After you kill the hive, the queen's gonna come out, and you have to take on the queen too before you finish the boss level. The hive is a really easy boss fight. It's just like the last 2 or 3 bosses. The pattern is exactly the same, which makes it really easy to understand what's going on. And then, as I said, you kill him, and then the queen comes out, which is the first boss to have a different pattern. She'll, wherever you're standing right when she starts to move, she'll just hone in on you and move that way. So I find a circular pattern works really well with her. You just lure her across the screen, and then just fire pot shots at her as she's coming across the screen at you. And all while avoiding those balls, of course, that she's shooting at you. Or with crystals, or crystal balls, or whatever they are. I'm not sure exactly. But it's a really easy boss. It should be easy to not even take any damage here. And it looks like she's almost dead. Another thing I didn't even mention, but you might have noticed, is that the bosses, they change colors depending on what their health's at. That was a common occurrence in old NES games, and the older games, you know, that was the way they visually represented the boss's health instead of having a health bar or anything like that. But anyway, we took down the Queen Bee, and we'll be moving on from there. Let's see if we can get in 2 more levels and 1 more boss fight before the end of the video. We did get another extra life when we just hit 150,000 after that boss fight. We're not doing too bad. We haven't used any continues yet, which, knock on wood, hopefully we won't have to use any. Another thing, I don't think I mentioned this yet, but the story of this game is that there's aliens invading. I guess these are supposed to be the aliens that you're fighting here. And they're stealing weapons and they want to use the weapons in order to try to destroy the land. And you're basically taking the weapons and using them against them so that you can save the land. It's a pretty unique story, I guess, you know, involving aliens and everything like that. I mean, it's just like any other Save the World game, but instead of another human or an evil emperor or anything like that trying to destroy the world, you got aliens invading, which I thought was pretty neat. And these ice levels, yes, you do slide on the ice. You can't stop on a dime and turn immediately. He does his little animation showing that he's sliding before he actually stops. So that makes it a bit tricky to make some of the harder jumps, but it's honestly not as bad as it might look, and I don't find it too difficult to maneuver while you're on the ice. Here you got a long jump. And you can hang on the edges if you make a certain tight, like if you're real close to making the jump but not exactly, and you run into the ledge, you will grab onto the ledge and you can pull yourself up. I don't think I mentioned that yet, so hopefully not. I don't want to be repeating myself, but sometimes it's hard to keep track of what I've already said and what I haven't. We'll just jump up here. Some of these jumps get tricky when you have enemies on the platforms you're about to jump to. and you have to try to kill them. Especially here where they're lower, you have to time the jump so that you don't land on them when you make the jump. These springs will make you jump really high, and they become, in later levels, they become more in-depth, and you have to make multiple jumps across them at once. But in this level, it was just one single jump onto a platform with an enemy that you had to avoid. So it wasn't too bad, not yet anyway. Trust me, it gets worse. I'm nowhere near good enough to play this game on hard. I can't do it. Anybody that can is incredible at games in my eyes. I just find it too difficult to be able to do anything like that. Alright, I think that's the end of the level. Yep, so let's move on to the shooter scroller part of this. And this time we're fighting against the snowmen. And we got my favorite weapon. I seriously think this weapon is overpowered when it comes to these sections of the game. I don't know, other people might have their own preferences, but I don't see how you can't love this weapon when you're in this screen. It almost takes the entire screen, and practically nobody can avoid it if you're aiming it at the right angle. Like if you're right in the middle here, it'll hit any row of enemies that comes out, almost. There might be one or two exceptions to that, but if you don't have a weapon that has a firing power like this, those snowmen can be a real pain in the butt because of the way they move. This boss is really easy. The thing with him though is you don't want to go chasing after their shots. I kind of just stay at the bottom here and continue to shoot, and I let him move into my shots when he wants to, as opposed to running around trying to get shots on him, because those ice blocks that he's laying, they can become a real pain in the butt. You can shoot to get rid of them, but if you're trying to maneuver between them all and maneuver between his shots, it gets a little difficult. That's why it doesn't take long to kill him anyway, but that's why I like to let him come into my shots. We'll move up here now. He seems to be hanging out down below. He's almost dead. He's red now, and I believe that means he's almost dead. Yeah, there we go. And we're right below 200,000, so we should be getting another extra life after the bonus. We get the bonus here. Maybe not. Maybe the live stack at 5. I'm not sure exactly. Or the points is different than 50,000. I thought it was 50,000, but I guess I could be wrong. But anyway, we're going to call that a video there. And in the next video, we're going to play this level, which is the one I absolutely dread, and I won't be surprised if we burn through all 5 of those lives real quickly here. Alright, thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.